Have you ever felt that confusing moment when everything seems perfect, the conversations are exciting, the attention is constant, and it feels like something real is growing, and then suddenly something changes, the texts slow down, the energy fades, the effort disappears, and you start asking yourself painful questions. Did I say something wrong? Did I do something wrong? Why did he lose interest? But here's the truth most people never tell you. When a man loses interest, it's often not because you weren't enough. It's because somewhere along the way, the dynamic changed. And when you understand why that happens, you stop chasing attention and you start becoming someone who is naturally valued. Key point one, value comes from mystery, not over availability. At the very heart of attraction lies one of the most misunderstood truths about human relationships. People value what they have to earn. This isn't about playing games or manipulating feelings. It's about understanding a fundamental law of human psychology that governs connection and desire. When a man initially meets someone he is interested in, there is excitement, anticipation, and curiosity. Every interaction is an opportunity to discover something new. Every message, every laugh, every shared story carries a weight of novelty that is thrilling because it's fresh. There's a sense of adventure in getting to know someone when their world feels intriguing, layered, and a little mysterious. And this is precisely why the early stages of a connection feel so intoxicating. They are built on discovery, on exploration, on the uncharted territory of another person's life, personality, and energy. But what happens when that sense of discovery fades? What happens when a person becomes too predictable, too available, or too eager to please? The dynamic shifts and the excitement often disappears. Many people don't realize that availability can sometimes be the silent killer of attraction. It seems counterintuitive, but when someone is constantly present, constantly saying yes, constantly prioritizing the other person above their own life, the very thing that drew the other person in the sense that they are engaging with someone extraordinary starts to erode. Think about it. Mystery exists because there are layers to uncover, because the person in front of you is living a full and meaningful life beyond just the connection, when every moment, every conversation, every ounce of emotional energy is immediately available on demand. The layers shrink, the excitement diminishes, the sense of challenge, the sense that this person has a life, passions, and boundaries of their own begins to vanish. And without mystery, the thrill of discovery fades. Attraction is not solely about chemistry or looks or even compatibility. It's deeply tied to how the energy flows between two people. When one person becomes too accessible, the energy stops moving in a way that feels stimulating. Desire? In many ways, a dynamic energy that thrives on tension, on challenge, on intrigue. This is not an argument for creating distance simply to manipulate someone's feelings or to play games. It's an argument for living a life that is full, rich, and independent of any one person's attention. Your goals, your hobbies, your friendships, your ambitions, these are not obstacles to connection. They are magnets for it. Imagine someone who is constantly chasing attention or rearranging their life to accommodate another person. There is little room for intrigue. There is little room for fascination. On the other hand, when someone has a life that is compelling and layered, when they are pursuing their passions, building meaningful connections with others, and engaging with the world in ways that excite them, they naturally radiate energy that others notice, respect, and desire. Mystery is not secrecy. It is authenticity layered with independence. It is about showing up fully in your own life, rather than existing solely to be seen or validated by someone else. Consider the subtle differences in interactions when someone is living a full life. When they communicate, it's not out of obligation or neediness sets, because they genuinely want to share a part of themselves. Their energy is intentional. Their attention is selective. This selectivity is not rejection. It's a reflection of their own value system. It's what draws people in, creates intrigue, and fosters attraction. When someone notices that you have boundaries, that you have passions, that your attention is not unlimited, they start to perceive your presence as special, valuable, and worth earning. The irony is that this doesn't require changing who you are. It requires embracing who you are fully and unapologetically. When you live with purpose, curiosity naturally follows. People are drawn not to emptiness or compliance, but to substance and vibrancy. In practical terms, this means cultivating your life in a way that honors your time and energy. It means investing in friendships, pursuing personal goals, exploring your hobbies, and committing to growth. When a person sees that your life is abundant without them, they begin to recognize your value in a more profound and lasting way. This abundance is magnetic. It signals self-respect, confidence, and authenticity qualities that are universally attractive. Over-availability, on the other hand, signals desperation or a lack of personal fulfillment. It tells the other person, consciously or unconsciously, that your world revolves around them and that your sense of self is contingent on their attention. And when someone senses that, the balance of desire often shifts. One of the most common patterns in relationships is that the early excitement of connection gradually diminishes because the initial mystery is lost. This is often accompanied by frustration, confusion, and self-doubt. Many people misinterpret this change in energy as a reflection of their worth. Did I do something wrong? Did I say something wrong? Was I not enough? The truth is far more empowering. The loss of intrigue is rarely about deficiency. It is about the dynamic of availability and independence. When someone becomes fully known, fully accessible, and fully predictable, the novelty fades. But the solution is not to become secretive, cold, or manipulative. The solution is to reconnect with your own life, your own passions, and your own sense of self-worth. Living a life rich in experiences, interests, and personal growth does something profound for your interactions. It naturally preserves mystery, fosters curiosity, and maintains attraction without pretense. People are drawn to what feels vibrant, alive, and in motion. When you embody that energy, attention is not demanded, it is earned. And when attention is earned, it is also valued. That is the essence of why mystery matters. It creates a space for desire to flourish. Without it, connections can feel flat. Relationships can feel transactional, and attraction can fade even in the absence of any wrongdoing. It's also worth noting that mystery is not a static quality, it's dynamic. It is maintained through the continuous evolution of your life. As you grow, learn, and explore new dimensions of yourself, you naturally generate new layers for others to discover. This keeps interactions exciting and alive. It communicates that your value is inherent, not conditional. It reinforces that you are not here to be validated by someone else, but to share your life with those who are willing to meet you on equal footing. This is a level of self-respect and confidence that is magnetic because it positions you as someone who is whole, independent, and compelling. Finally, embracing mystery and living a full life also empowers you to navigate relationships with emotional intelligence and balance. Instead of reacting out of fear or insecurity when someone pulls away, you can respond with calm confidence. You understand that attraction is not about chasing it, is about creating conditions where desire naturally flourishes. You recognize that attention is precious and not automatically owed to anyone. And most importantly, you cultivate connections that are mutually exciting, fulfilling, and balanced, rather than one-sided or draining. So, if you want to be someone who is genuinely valued and respected in relationships, start by prioritizing your own life. Fill your days with purpose, curiosity, and growth. Chase experiences, not people. Celebrate your passions and boundaries. Show up fully in the world, independent of anyone else's validation. When you do this, you don't just preserve mystery, you amplify it. And in that amplification, attraction, respect, and genuine connection naturally follow. The key is understanding that your worth is never defined by someone else's attention. It is defined by the life you create, the energy you carry, and the confidence you radiate. That is the kind of value that cannot be taken for granted, and it is the foundation upon which meaningful, lasting relationships are built. Key point 2. The moment you start chasing, the value starts dropping. One of the most powerful, yet often misunderstood truths in relationships is that chasing attention rarely creates attraction. In fact, it almost always has the opposite effect. It's a harsh reality, but one that can transform the way you approach connections once you fully understand it. When someone begins to pull away, many people instinctively panic. It's a deeply human response. The mind races, the heart flutters, and emotions take over. Suddenly, every text becomes scrutinized, every delay in response feels like rejection, and every interaction is measured against imagined standards. In that moment, a subtle but critical shift happens. The focus moves from building connection to trying to secure it at all costs. This is the point where the value begins to drop. Chasing, in its essence, is born out of fear and insecurity. It's the belief that if you don't pursue, if you don't show enough, if you don't work hard enough to maintain someone's attention, it will disappear forever. But attraction doesn't operate on fear. It thrives on curiosity, challenge, and respect. When someone feels like their presence or engagement is earned rather than assumed, they step up naturally. Desire is an energy exchange. It is not a transaction. And when one person begins to overcompensate by chasing, the energy exchange becomes lopsided. The balance is disrupted. Instead of creating closeness, chasing creates pressure, tension, and ultimately diminished desire. Chasing manifests in subtle ways, and most people don't even notice it until it's too late. It could be sending multiple texts when only one would have sufficed, overanalyzing every interaction, or constantly trying to anticipate what the other person wants in order to please them. It could be rearranging your schedule, the drop of a hat, saying yes to things you don't truly want to do, or over-investing emotionally in the hopes that your effort will be reciprocated. Each of these actions communicates something very clear to the other person. It signals that your value is dependent on their attention. And while it may feel like devotion, it is actually a subtle signal of desperation. And nothing kills attraction faster than desperation. Why does this happen? Because attraction is rooted in balance. When one person is giving too much too quickly or too often, the other person no longer feels the need to invest their own energy. Human beings are wired to respond to challenge, to respond to scarcity, and to respond to scarcity, and to respond to authenticity. When you chase, you remove all challenge, you remove scarcity, you remove the natural tension that keeps desire alive. Instead of creating curiosity and fascination, chasing creates predictability and expectation. It turns attraction into obligation. And when attraction becomes obligation, interest fades. It's important to recognize that this doesn't mean you should withdraw care or stop expressing genuine interest. The difference is in the energy behind the action. Attraction is not created by excessive effort. It's created by thoughtful, intentional presence. It's created by showing up fully in your life and allowing the other person to step up and meet you there. It's the difference between being available because you want to be and being available because you need to be. When your energy comes from need, it signals a lack of confidence, a lack of self-respect, and a lack of independence. When your energy comes from desire, it signals abundance, confidence, and self-assuredness. And this distinction is everything when it comes to maintaining attraction. Chasing also tends to distort perception. When you are overly focused on trying to secure someone's attention, it becomes almost impossible to see the reality of the connection. You begin to interpret neutral behaviors as negative, excitement as obligation, and interest as uncertainty. Every interaction is overanalyzed. Every pause in communication feels catastrophic. And in this state, your own value, the qualities, passions, and energy that made you attractive in the first place starts to shrink in your mind. Instead of radiating confidence and independence, you radiate anxiety and neediness. And again, this only drives the other person further away. The paradox is simple but profound. The more you chase, the less you are valued. Human psychology responds to perceived scarcity and challenge. When someone knows that your attention is finite, that your energy is precious, and that your presence is not guaranteed, they naturally begin to invest more. But when they sense that your attention is limitless and unconditional, they often take it for granted. That is not a moral failing on their part. It is simply how desire works. And understanding this allows you to reclaim your power in any relationship. So what is the alternative to chasing? The answer is grounded in self-respect, patience, and the cultivation of your own life. When someone starts to pull away, instead of responding with panic, you respond with calm and perspective. You honor your own energy first. You maintain your boundaries. You continue to engage in your passions, spend time with friends and family, and invest in experiences that fulfill you. You demonstrate that your life is vibrant and meaningful regardless of their attention. And in doing so, you reverse the energy dynamic. You shift from need to abundance. You shift from chasing to inviting. You shift from reaction to intention. This shift does something incredible. It restores balance. It allows the other person to step up, to invest their own energy, and to engage in a way that is genuine and meaningful. It creates space for attraction to grow rather than diminish. It allows desire to flourish naturally without pressure or obligation. And perhaps most importantly, it preserves your dignity, self-respect, and emotional well-being. because chasing is exhausting. It is draining. It erodes confidence and creates anxiety. But when you step into your own value, you no longer feel compelled to chase. You attract attention and interest because you are inherently magnetic, not because you are desperate to hold on to someone else's approval. It is also important to understand that attraction is not static. Relationships, connections, and interest are dynamic. They ebb and flow based on energy, presence, and engagement. Chasing interrupts this natural rhythm by forcing one person to bear the weight of emotional investment alone. When you stop chasing, you allow the natural rhythm to restore itself. You allow both people to meet each other where they are. You create conditions where attraction, curiosity, and respect can thrive simultaneously. And in this state, relationships are no longer about fear, insecurity, or desperation. They are about mutual desire, appreciation, and connection. Finally, stepping away from chasing does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you become cold or detached. It means you care for yourself first. It means you recognize that your worth is inherent, not conditional on someone else's attention. It means you approach relationships from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. And when you operate from abundance, something powerful happens. You stop clinging, you stop over-explaining, and you stop overextending. You allow people to earn your attention, to value your presence, and to step up to match the energy you bring. And this ultimately is the key to maintaining attraction, fostering respect, and creating meaningful connections that last. Chasing is a natural instinct that is human, but it is not effective. It diminishes value. It erodes attraction. It creates imbalance. The alternative is counterintuitive, but far more powerful. Step back, honor your own energy, invest in your life, and allow attraction to follow its natural course. The moment you stop chasing is the moment your value begins to rise. The moment you reclaim your energy is the moment desire returns. The moment you prioritize self-respect is the moment you become truly magnetic. Because when you stop running after someone else, you create a space where they run toward you. And that, above all, is the energy that fuels lasting connection, respect, and love. Key point 3, the most attractive energy is self-respect. There is a truth about human relationships that is simple, yet often overlooked. The most magnetic energy anyone can carry is the energy of self-respect. Nothing draws people in more than someone who knows their worth and refuses to settle for less than they deserve. This energy is not about arrogance, pride, or ego. It is about a quiet, unwavering understanding that your value is inherent, independent, and non-negotiable. When someone begins to pull away, people react from fear to panic sets in, insecurity takes over, and boundaries start to crumble. But the strongest, most attractive response is the opposite: calm confidence, clarity, and unwavering self-respect. This energy communicates that you are someone who cannot be devalued, someone whose presence is a gift, and someone whose love, attention, and time are precious commodities. Self-respect is attractive because it sets the standard for how others treat you. When you demonstrate respect for yourself, you create a boundary between what is acceptable and what is not. People naturally respond to those boundaries. It's a psychological reality. We value what we cannot take for granted. If someone senses that your attention and affection are limitless, they unconsciously take it for granted. But if they sense that your energy is guarded, that your presence must be earned, and that your respect is not given away freely, they begin to rise to meet that standard. Self-respect is not about punishment or games. It is about clarity and consistency. It communicates without words that you are someone who knows their value and will not compromise it for temporary attention or validation. One of the most common mistakes people make when someone pulls away is thinking that bending over backward, lowering standards, or overcompensating will bring them back. They start to say yes to things they don't want to do, prioritize someone else's needs above their own, and suppress their own desires in an effort to maintain the connection. While this may feel like devotion, it is in fact a surrender of personal power. When you sacrifice your own boundaries for someone else's approval, you unintentionally signal that your sense of self is conditional. This energy is draining, unattractive, and unsustainable. In contrast, self-respect is about knowing what you will and will not tolerate and standing firm in that knowledge even when it feels uncomfortable. The beauty of self-respect is that it creates an internal compass. It allows you to navigate relationships without panic, without desperation, and without anxiety. Instead of asking, how do I keep him interested? You ask, is this someone who deserves my energy, attention, and affection? This subtle shift in perspective is revolutionary. It moves you from reaction to intention, from fear to empowerment. It means that every choice you make in a relationship, how much attention to give, how to respond to. Withdrawal, how to communicate your needs, is rooted in a deep understanding of your own worth rather than in the unpredictable approval of another person. Self-respect also shapes the energy you bring into every interaction. People are highly sensitive to energy, often more than words themselves. When you carry self-respect, you naturally radiate confidence, calm, and stability. You do not react impulsively to every pause in communication or every moment of distance. You are measured, intentional, and composed. This energy is magnetic because it signals security. It signals that you are whole, complete, and independent. And paradoxically, it encourages the other person to step up, to invest, and to show their own value because they are interacting with someone who is non-negotiable in their standards. It's important to understand that self-respect is not static. It is cultivated and reinforced every day through your choices and behaviors. It is reflected in how you treat yourself, how you allow others to treat you, and how you prioritize your time, energy, and emotional well-being. Simple actions like maintaining your routines, pursuing your passions, and honoring your own needs reinforce the energy of self-respect. Every boundary you set, every no you confidently deliver, every moment you choose yourself over validation from someone else strengthens your presence and your power in a relationship. The consistent message you send is clear: you are not desperate, you are whole, and your love is to be earned. One of the most compelling aspects of self-respect is that it reduces neediness and desperation, which are two of the fastest ways to diminish attraction. Neediness is born from a lack of internal fulfillment, a dependence on external validation, and a fear of losing someone else's attention. When neediness drives behavior, it shows in body language, tone of voice, and even decision-making. It is an energy that unconsciously communicates, "I cannot thrive without you." In contrast, self-respect communicates the opposite. "I am thriving with or without you, and I will only invest my energy where it is reciprocated." This energy is not only attractive, it is irresistible because it restores balance, creates tension, and invites genuine engagement. People are drawn to strength, not weakness. They are drawn to stability, not volatility. They are drawn to a sense of presence that is secure, confident, and self-contained. Another crucial element of self-respect is patience. When you respect yourself, you understand that genuine connection takes time. You do not panic when someone pulls away. You do not overcompensate with effort or attention. Instead, you allow the natural rhythm of attraction to play out. You trust that those who are aligned with your energy and values will rise to meet you. You do not chase, you allow pursuit to emerge naturally from those who see your worth. This patience is not passive, it is active. Confidence. It signals that your time and energy are not to be taken lightly, and that only someone willing to meet your standards will be rewarded with your presence. Self-respect also teaches discernment. It allows you to see clearly whether someone is genuinely investing in the relationship or merely occupying space. When your energy is grounded in respect for yourself, you no longer tolerate manipulation, inconsistency, or disregard. You recognize the difference between someone who is genuinely trying to connect and someone who is merely drifting in and out. This clarity protects your emotional well-being and ensures that your attention is reserved for people who are truly worthy of it. And when you consistently operate from this mindset, you attract people who respect, value, and appreciate you naturally, without the need for over-effort or chasing. Finally, self-respect is the foundation for authentic love and connection. When you value yourself, you model the very behavior you wish to see in others. You communicate that healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, balance, and intentionality. You no longer compromise your standards or bend to meet someone else's whims. Instead, you invite relationships where energy is reciprocated, effort is balanced, and connection is deeply satisfying. This is the kind of energy that fosters loyalty, attraction, and enduring interest. It is the energy of someone who is not desperate, not insecure, and not reactive, but someone who is magnetic, empowered, and whole. In conclusion, the most attractive energy you can carry is self-respect. It is not arrogance, manipulation, or control. It is the quiet, steady confidence that your worth is inherent, that your energy is precious, and that your love and attention are to be valued. When someone pulls away, self-respect allows you to respond with calm confidence, clarity, and intention. It preserves your boundaries, protects your emotional well-being, and creates conditions for genuine attraction to flourish. It transforms fear into power, neediness into independence, and uncertainty into unwavering confidence. And in this energy, you become not only magnetic but untouchable in your dignity, irresistible in your presence, and undeniable in your worth. Because at the end of the day, people do not value what they can take for granted. They value what is strong, vibrant, and unshakable. They value what is whole, independent, and unwavering. They value someone who carries self-respect. And when you carry that energy, you stop chasing, you stop questioning, you stop fearing. Instead, you live fully, love fully, and allow the right people, those who recognize and honor your worth, to rise up to meet you. That is the ultimate power, the ultimate magnetism, and the ultimate key to creating relationships that are meaningful, balanced, and lasting.